We should be good to go in three, two, one. What up, headbangers? How you doing? I'm Rob O'Day, and welcome to the Greasiest of all time. Today we're chilling with Pistol Grip Suicide, and you guys are out of Florida, and where else? I know you're out of two places.
Texas.
Texas and Florida. See? Two wicked music
Soon to
scenes.
be Iowa.
Texas.
And Iowa. Oh, so you're going to be all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and let us know how you got together as a band?
Well, I'm Mike. I play drums.
Well, I'm
I've
Rojo.
known
I'm on
Roy
guitar.
Vocals. So we got drums and guitar.
Next.
Yep. Hey, I'm Carter, vocals.
Yes, I'm on guitar. Rojo. I'm out of Dallas.
And then we got Gabe. Well, Gabe, what do you play? Are you the bassist? Oh. Gabe disconnected quickly. So how did you guys get started? I'll ask Gabe when he comes back on. How did you guys start your band? Are you
Gabe? Gabe started it.
Oh, right. Fair enough then. There he is right there. How long have you guys been playing together for? We got some lag problems on my end or their end. There's Gabe.
Where did you go, Gabe?
He's popping up any second, I believe. He's in the conversation.
All right.
Let's get the big man back. There he is. How you doing, Gabe? We got you back? I think it's just connection issues. Are we good? Oh, he disconnected again. Yeah, he might have connection issues. So how long have you guys been playing as a band together?
We
Mike,
haven't
you want to
had.
take this one?
Go ahead, Roy.
He recruited John. So even though we're in different states, we have some music written and electronically, and then exchange ideas with each other until we can get together and get in a jam room and recording.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're looking to release sometime next year.
Oh, nice.
Sometime.
Because you guys have the that teaser. Is that your guys' the teaser that you released for the interview? Was that a song that we should be expecting to see, or is that a song that's out?
No, that's a song that it's still in the works. So I mean, it's
On that one as well.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the songs on the album, maybe.
I like
Hopefully.
I really like the groove. Like it's got a wicked flow to it, and
The groove on it.
it's got some like, I don't know. I love it. Just like that snippet makes me want to just crave more. You know what I mean? Like it's a beautiful thing to see. That's the beginning stages. You know what I mean? For you guys.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
we're hopefully trying to. Hopefully, everything that comes out heavy and aggressive like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually I write stuff every day, so I hear riffs every day, and as soon as I hear them in my head,
Ready
I run
back.
to the recorder.
Gabe is back.
Do I? Randy back?
Yeah, I'm back.
So you guys are working.
So I run to the recorder, I record them, and after I record them, I try to send them to Randy and Roy and see what they think, and then we go from there.
That's a really cool process. So
Yeah,
guys...
I got like, I mean, I've got
Oh, go ahead.
I've got so many cool ideas for what they're doing. It's definitely right up my alley. When they when Gabe and Roy asked me to do this, I was really excited because I have a lot of respect for them as musicians and what they've done.
Yeah. No, that's almost an understatement from what I've seen in the efforts and hard work that Gabe puts out. So I can only imagine what it'd be like to be in a band with him and have band members, because it'd be like-minded people. So it's cool to see that you guys are just starting. Like, I'm excited to hear this album and more songs when your songs when they get released.
Yeah, it's almost scary, the stuff that Mike and Roy are putting together. I mean, it's I don't know. It's crazy because when you get into something, you don't know how it's going to sound right away, and then when it develops, and then it ends up being exactly what you're wanting to do. It's awesome, and it's really kind of like a relief because you're just like, yes, I can really get working.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I always find that it's nice when you find a group of people that you just click with, and there's no like awkward silences when you're in a band. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. You just work well together, and then I find that that's where the magic happens, because it just naturally comes. It's not forced.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure if Gabe
It's
can
been
hear
pretty
us.
easy for me and Roy because I mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's been pretty easy for me and Roy because we've been in several bands together, and we're in another band together right now. So like, I don't know. It's just we write well together. So hopefully, the stuff that comes out naturally, and you know, like everything else we've written. So
Yeah, and I think natural is best, right? Because you can definitely tell when a band forces it, when they try to write a certain style of song and that's what they focus on. I find that creativity at its finest is when there's no limits, and I think that that's what really makes a band.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of...
And then at the same time, knowing exactly what direction you're going as well.
having a like-minded band for that. But yes, with like your goal, it's always hard when there's a couple members who see it differently or aren't as invested. And I find that when you do find that group that's willing to just drop everything, like, you don't let go of them. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you found the one that you want to marry. It's your band. You can't get rid of it. So you guys,
100%. Yeah.
mentioned that you're in the midst of working on it. How many songs are going to be on your EP or album?
who knows? I'm hoping anywhere from 10 to 12. I'm used to like back in the old days when you had 5 songs on each side of the cassette. You know what I mean? So it's got to be at least 10 songs. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, me
It'd be
too.
it'd be nice to have more.
Yeah. No. And
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think 10 is going to be the minimum for sure. Because as I was talking to the guys earlier, we're going to have some pretty legendary, some hard New York hardcore people on it as well. Some guest appearances on it. We're going to have Jorge Rosado from Marauder. He's opted already to be on it. I'm talking to Danny Diablo from Scarhead and also Jimmy G from Murphy's Law.
yeah.
With that being said, that's going to be be 3 tracks that's going to have some, pretty much legendary New York hardcore got Pete guys on it, and then, this is one of the reasons why I pretty much handpicked Roy and Mike and John, because I've known Roy and Mike, back from the Dallas, Deep Ellum scene. I've known Roy for over 20 years, and, him coming from Low Gear and Crankfish, and then Mike coming from probably one of my most favorite Latin metal bands from Dallas, with Plastic Tongue. Those dudes were fucking amazing, and I think their album still is kind of like one of those you can listen to today and it's just like, holy shit, man, these dudes were way ahead of their time,
Hear anything now?
Thank you.
So, at the end of the day, like, that's kind of the reasons why. And Mike, he's just a phenomenal drummer, man. He's the way he does his double bass, and he's just he's fucking phenomenal, And so, and one of the reasons why I kind of started Pistol Grip Suicide was basically to take it to the higher level of us like touring Japan and things like that, because everybody here has pretty much done the tours and stuff like that, and but I wanted to create something that's going to be a little bit more like overseas type stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why I want to have some guest appearances from other bands, but this band is mainly made for us to tour overseas. So
That's so cool, and it's even. I think it's cool too because you have the ambition and hard work behind it, so you can make it happen. You will make it happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's getting done, and I think that's that'll be a cool element to see you guys performing in Japan and across seas because like their music scene is pretty insane. Like that's where I think a lot of people don't realize is like Asia and like Japan and like a lot of those places love metal and they embrace it so hard. So
oh yeah.
that's like very smart and very tactical, and I think it's a key thing that being able to get out to the world and be able to appeal to so many different cultures is where you need to think when you're starting a band too, almost nowadays, because like anyone can write music, but not anyone can appeal to everyone, and I think that's what you need to be able to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I picked Jorge from Marauder to be on this track because they're huge,
Mm-hmm.
and so like for him to be on a track is going to be a lot easier to push our new stuff just over in Japan by itself, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Having and the concept.
Yeah, what I think is really great is
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say what I think is really great about what Gabe was saying is that when you've been around for a long time and you've done a lot of bands and you've done a lot of years doing music and you know that you're definitely going to stick with it, and then you find people that had the similar experiences and realize that, like they said, going to Japan or Europe or other places where they're hungry for something like what we're doing, and they seem to appreciate it more than an American audience. Not that American audience doesn't appreciate it, but the thing about it is, I mean, you can go on YouTube, you can go anywhere else and talk to people that have been in bands that toured, and other countries, they seem to support underground metal and hardcore and the music scene as well as the mainstream stuff at the same time because they just want music. And I really think that the way that we're aiming at trying to kind of like work with different types of people that will sort of bring different scenes together is a really cool strategy. And so that's why I love that they asked me to do this.
Yeah, it's I always found it's an honor when you get to join a group of people that you look up to. That's kind of how I felt in my group when I met them. I felt like I can look up to these guys. Like I need to push myself harder to be with them, and I think that's a really cool thing to do, and to be a part of is being embraced by like a brotherhood that way.
Absolutely.
So how or when are you guys planning on performing in the near future then? Because you're in the midst of recording, but I know that things are opened up down there.
we're still in the writing process. Uh, I think for now it's sending music to each other until we actually get enough music and pick out the songs we want to put on the album. And then from there, hopefully from there we can just once we get together, we already know the songs. We can practice and get ready to go. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's pretty much just like Mike said. We probably will do a few shows here in the U.S. We'll hit like, we'll do a Dallas show. We'll definitely do a New York show, and then maybe like an L.A. show. We're gonna hit like the key markets,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not gonna. It's not gonna be a band where we're gonna try to hit like every little effing city in the United States. Like I said, this band was really created to. Honestly, it was created to hit some of my dream places to play. I know Roy's been wanting to play Japan, and I'm sure Mike has too. So these are my ambitions, is to kind of just fulfill some dreams of mine. You know, and the U.S. isn't really the market that I really want to hit. It's the overseas what I really want to hit. Because if we can do PGS and make it bigger overseas and have it where we can just do a tour and make some good cash at it, I'd rather just do that. So.
No, for sure.
Because, like I said, we all have all the other guys have their own projects, Crankfish and Locomotive Guns. So it's not like, and then I have my hands full, already
Mm-hmm.
with 30 something bands that are under our labels, So it's not something that I want to take full time, but it's just something, like I said, I want to actually fulfill some dreams of mine, and probably some of the other guys too.
That's super cool. I think that's a cool, really beautiful thing that you guys have all collectively agreed that that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, going overseas that's happening, and you're working towards it. And knowing Gabe and how hard he works and how hard you guys work because of your bands, that it'll happen. It's just a matter of time and when shit opens up over there and when we're allowed to leave North America, kind of a thing. So it'll be cool. Are you planning to do just the Asian countries, or are you planning to also hit up the UK and European market? Because I know UK would eat you guys up. They would love it.
No, that's the plans, is actually to hit like the Europe and Japan. I'm not too interested in doing any other Asian countries. But Japan is probably the most prominent one. But
Mm-hmm.
then hit like UK, and I would love to do like Spain and places like that. Um, so pretty much just the Europe areas, hit Germany. Like I said, just fulfill some kind of dreams that I know some of us. I know Roy's been overseas and stuff like that too, but probably not to play. But that's what I want to do. I'm not too interested in the whole U.S. thing, to be honest.
Yeah, no. And I mean, once you've been at that level before too, right? So like you all are at a higher level than what most emerging bands are at. You know what I mean? You guys have that experience, and I think that will make it a lot easier because you know what you're doing versus a lot of the bands who are only focused on certain areas of North America or certain areas of the UK. Like, you have your market, and that's the business behind it. You know where you're gonna sell to. You know how you're gonna sell it, and I think that will make it definitely successful. Like, I know that it'll happen, and I think it'll be a really cool thing to see and follow you guys when you're doing it. When you're in Japan, rocking out to some fucking fat amount of festival. You know what I mean? Like, with thousands of people. Like, that's a cool thing, and it inspires. And I think it'll also it inspires a lot of your artists that you have under you, right? Because the harder you push, and we see it, it's not even necessarily just like as you as a manager or an label owner, but as you as an artist, like, you're still dedicated to it no matter what you've got going. You got a million things going. You're like, no, this is going down. And I think that a lot of people need to take a page from your book. And I've said this to a lot of the artists I've interviewed. Like, you're creating the future of the music industry. I don't know if it's an intentional thing or if it's just like slowly what it's doing, but like, you have the foundation. And I think that that's going to lead you wherever you want to go, especially if you want to do something with your band and you want to create something. So it's really inspiring to watch and see, because it's not easy to like start a project and just put everything into it. But you have your goal, your path, and I think that's it's almost like a business plan. I guess that's the easiest way I can see it, you know what I mean? Like, you know which direction you're headed, and I think that's really cool, and it's inspiring. And I think a lot of bands need to look at that style of thinking a lot more when they are getting into the industry in 2021, because it's not the same industry that it was 10, 15 years ago, where you could just put up some flyers and go perform a show. It's really not cutthroat, but almost at the same time is, because the industry doesn't care for its artists. And I think that will be their downfall, and that's where independent labels have it made, and they know what they're doing. And I think that in all reality, the major labels are going to die. And I think that there's going to be a new market and a whole new music industry that's already in the making, especially the metal industry, because I always say it's feared. I always like to say that the metal industry is feared. It's almost like a monster that no one wants to battle. But in all reality, our structure of metalheads and the bands are the hardest working and the most dedicated people on the planet, in my eyes. We get told no over and over and over
Yeah,
again. And
I think the fear and the danger is what keeps it strong.
Yep, 100%. And I think I don't know, there's just something about the metal culture, the metal community, that I absolutely love. Like, I would die for, almost, because it's that dedicated. Everyone is so tight knit, and you don't even need to know a buddy walking down the street with a metal shirt. You can walk up and you're going to be friends, because you know it's a brotherhood. And I think that is the foundation for world peace, and I think metalheads have it. And I always say that if there ever was going to be world peace, it would be based around metalheads embracing everything. You know what I mean? Like, we don't judge anyone. We are the ones who are judged.
I've always felt that way too, because especially like if you go, like a normal person wouldn't go to a Slayer concert or a thrash metal concert because they'd be scared. But for those of us that do it all the time, we see the brotherhood in the pit. We see the brotherhood in the crowd. If you fall down, they pick you up. It looks like an angry crowd, but it's not. It's like you're a big family when you're there, and that's how I see metal. That's how I see the concerts. That's how I see. I mean, it's just a big family. I've ever since I got into it as a kid. I mean, I've loved it. So
Yeah. No, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
I think
I
more
think
importantly, what's really great about doing things right now, coming out of every country being locked down, the fact that Gabe's been able to kind of build up the empire that he has with Kingside and Artillery and all the other groups, and the fact that guys like us during the pandemic and not being able to do stuff still had our sights set on doing stuff regardless. And what's really great for people like us is when people gave up because of the pandemic, we were sharpening our tools, and other people forgot how to use their tools, or they sold their tools. They're going to be found with no weapons and no tools to build anything. And I think, that being said, plus we're going to bring people something that they're really going to want, because people are going to want something after 2020 is just stuck a big fist up their ass, basically, and we're pulling it out and we're washing it off and giving them some metal and hardcore, essentially. It's about fucking time, and we have a really good time frame to work with things. And when everyone's more wide open, people are going to be frothing at the mouth to go to shows, and it's perfect.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I always say that people are going to either embrace it all over again and appreciate music like they did when Woodstock was around, or they're either going to be scared to get
Yeah.
close to other people, and that's my biggest fear is like people being scared to go to concerts and being in a pit again because like there's a magic that happens in a mosh pit that nothing compares to. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really hopeful because everything I've heard so far is every show's been really good, and I'm like, yes, thank you, because I definitely want the music industry, our underground
That's good.
industry, to be appreciated. And that's the whole reason like I created this was I just want bands to be appreciated for what they do and the amount of hard work they put in because it's something that like I don't know I'm passionate about and I genuinely get upset of it. I'm like I don't think that the way the structure is now in the mainstream industry is at all a viable thing, and that's why I absolutely respect Gabe for his structure because it's the future. There's no devil in the details, as Dale would say, our guitar player, but like that's how it is. Like it's just straightforward, honest,
Yeah.
and that's what we need. We need more people like that in the industry. And there's some.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I view it as a new type of underground.
Yeah, I like to call it the new, just like the new revolution. It's the revolution of music, and I think it needs to happen because the last 50 years, artists have just slowly lost everything to the point where when shows are stopped, no one really even cares. You know what I mean? People are like, oh, whatever, bands will take it, bands will handle it. There's bands in Finland selling their equipment right now because they can't afford rent. And these are major bands that like I look up to. And that's almost like sad. You know what I mean? Like cuz I know how hard bands work. I know how dedicated musicians are. And to see them have to give up their babies basically just to feed themselves is there should be more appreciation in the artists for what they give to people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because like, where would we be
And
without
you know,
music?
and that
Go ahead.
yeah, that's true. I would like to know where all those that music equipment is because I love to buy things at pennies on the dollar though. So
Yeah. No, it's true. It's I wish that I don't know. I always say like I wish that there was a new platform that was dedicated to bands, not like a Spotify, but like even if Bandcamp was to change their layout so you could customize it, make it look more like customer appealing. I think Bandcamp would bring in way more people than Spotify. If they had like a streaming app and they actually made it appealing so that bands could go or people could go to bands' pages and not look at it like, oh god, that's gross. Because that's what's always deterred me from Bandcamp, but it's such a good service. So like, I wish that there was that MySpace mixed with Bandcamp because
True.
those were the two best platforms for musicians. So I don't know. I wish I was good with computer stuff like that. Like I'm not good with computers, so hopefully one someday somebody with all the ability to do it is like, all right, hey, that's a good idea, and they take it and run with it because I'm okay with that. I just want to see the music industry appreciate it like when I was a kid. Like when I was 14, I used to hitchhike to shows to see local bands. Like my mom thought I was going to my friend's house, and I was straight up just like thumb out, getting hitchhiking out to a concert. So you don't see that anymore. You don't even see little young kids at concerts anymore. And I always preach to bands, we need to do all ages shows. We need to get the younger crowd back in.
Yeah, all ages shows are super important. I mean, there's a lot of venues have gone 21 and up, at least where I'm currently living in North Carolina, and over the past 15 years, there were like these all ages shows at like Legion halls and just whatever makeshift places you could come across. And then over time, I saw more venues just being bars. And obviously, if it's bars, then it's got to be 18 and older, or 19 and older, or 21 and older. And these kids can only come in from like 6 to like 9, because I've gone to shows where it was all ages
Mm-hmm.
from 6 to 9, and then from 9 o'clock till 2 in the morning. It was basically just a EDM or techno or a dance club. And then these bars were seeing that they were making more money off the drinking crowd from the DJ shows, and these kids that were coming to shows, quote unquote, weren't spending money. And that was kind of fucked up, because these kids they were buying merch, they were paying for their tickets, and this was the thing that they really wanted to do, the thing they looked forward to for months. And then it slowly got taken away to where all the venues were 21 and older, or 18 and older. And then you hear kids going, I can't wait till I'm 18 so I can go to a show, which was insane for me, because I grew up in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So many all ages shows, but like I've got a kid that's 17 and a kid that's about to be 21. And they went to shows with me and my other bands and stuff. But like, looking at these other younger kids, you're absolutely right. You don't see as many young kids at shows, and it really makes me worry, because if these young kids aren't at shows, then they're just at home online watching stuff on YouTube or whatever, which is great, but they're not really going to get the idea of how important going to a live show really is. And they're going to go, oh, I can just watch it on YouTube. And I really think that over the past 15 years, that's screwed up the attendance at a lot of shows.
Yeah. No, 100%. I
Is it
definitely.
like that? Is it like that in Texas? Because I mean, my daughter doesn't go to like concerts by herself. Like any concert I go to, I always take my wife and my daughter. And when my son was around, he's not he's in the Air Force right now, so he's not living with us.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was around, when it was the four of us, we went to every show together. And I know I don't remember seeing a lot of kids either, but I never paid attention to that, because I had my kids and they were here with me because I'm their parent. So I never really paid attention to all ages shows in Dallas. Was it like that here too? Roy, would you know?
No, it wasn't. I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I know for sure.
Yeah, because I think I know a lot of that all ages shows.
Go ahead.
I know they would allow like for all to be there. I think they like a certain time. Like I think you couldn't be there past midnight. I think is what the deal was in Dallas. But other than that, I mean, they still served alcohol and stuff. So
Yeah, and I know that it does. I don't know, as like a young musician that was like, I don't know, 13, 14. We had bands like Stutterfly and Bleeding Alarm and Cry the Afflicted, and these bands would do all ages events at churches. They would rent out a church, and they would get 150 to 200 young kids, and every one of those kids is buying a shirt and buying a CD and in the pit, like enjoying it. And I think that that's what carved my love for live music, was that. And I think that that's kind of what I want to see again, is that we need to bring it back.
For sure.
It scares me thinking that kids growing up don't know what an instrument is, because they're so in tune to their tablets and so focused on the electronic music that they're just fed, that they're never actually going to know what a guitar is. And that really scares me. So I think that, I don't know, my biggest like wish, I guess, for the music industry is that, because we have to take it into our own hands now, with so many venues closing down, at least in BC, and I know that we have a crazy opioid crisis up here, but they don't offer all ages venues or shows, you know what I mean? And I think that if cities were to kind of take a step back and realize, like, you can avoid so many problems with your youth if you just give them something to do. What better than music? So I emailed the premier of BC, and I basically suggested to him, like, we need an all ages venue, 2 stages, strictly all ages, no alcohol. If you want to make a change, you got to start somewhere, and I think that would be a key thing, is the arts. We need to bring back the love for the arts.
I totally agree, man.
If there was anything
Yeah, I booked shows throughout the majority of the 90s and the early 2000s at these places like these Legion halls.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you were respectful to the place and cleaned up when you left and put down a deposit, we had shows. So 9/10 of the shows I went to growing up were these all ages, sort of clandestine, private, somewhat private all ages shows that were going on. And for a lot of kids, their first concerts were those kind of shows, and then of course when that dies out, um, you know, people are going to think that every show has to be, mayhem fest or whatever, or some big things. But if that's your first show is your first show, and that's what's important. And I think that's cool that you got hold of your premiere up there, because like you said, they need something to do. But the thing that's always kind of happened here in the States was, oh, this is a place where a bunch of young kids are gathering, so there's probably going to be gang activity, there's probably going to be underage drinking, there's probably going to be drugs, and there's probably going to be fighting. So let's just go ahead and shut it down before we even get to give them a chance.
Yeah.
And that's what I've ran into over the years. And so I feel you on that, man. And especially now after the pandemic, when things start opening up, who knows?
I know for sure as soon as we get Dale back, I'm putting on an all ages event. And I like to do fundraisers for events, like whether it's the local food bank, or there was another band locally that just raised $1,000 for mental health. And I think those are the kind of things that people are more drawn to than just like, hey, come check out my band. Like you got to give a little bit to get a little bit. And I think that all ages events
That's awesome.
All ages events are key for bringing new fans into the fan base themselves, and to give back at the same time. Because I mean, realistically, like people my age don't want to buy a ticket. They got rent, they got bills, they don't want to care about that. So like, that's where bands need to cater more. And I think that's the more bands I talk to about it. Like I've talked to a lot of bands about it, and every single one has been like, you know what, I want to do that. And I think that that's all it takes. It's just that little push. And I think that would be completely revitalize our entire music industry, would be having new fans that are actually willing to be dedicated enough to purchase merch, not people who would rather buy a drink versus the merch kind of a thing. So that's just kind of where I think I see the future going. Is it just go ahead.
No, I've seen what you're talking about work firsthand. I mean, I've done a lot of benefit. I put on a lot of benefit shows, canned food drives, and stuff like that. And what was really great about it is the bands that are just willing to they want to play for free. You know what I mean? Because they want to keep the scene going in some way, shape, or form, and they see the positivity of having a benefit or a food drive or whatever. And then if the community that doesn't understand the live music scene sees that too, then it puts things in a good light, and that's a good way to really sort of like get people interested in it, and especially like you said, doing it all ages. I mean, I think a parent is going to be more willing to let their kid go to a show that is a food drive or a benefit for mental health or something like that, then, hey, Cannibal Corpse is playing at this bar. Can I go? No, but which is fucked up, because, a kid should be able to go see Cannibal Corpse, and Cannibal Corpse should get to have those kids, in front of them. You know what I mean? So who knows how it's going to be, going forward, because I've heard of a lot of venues that are going to be focusing more on the bigger touring acts, as because these promoters get a hold of the bars and they want them to, they want to play there. So these local or regional acts that aren't quite as big, they are going to be put on a waiting list. So, I mean, again, as long as people are interested in going to shows, as long as some people are interested in booking it, I mean, fuck it, whatever you got to do, you know what I mean? And that's really what we need to do. I mean, honestly, from a band member's perspective, a person's been, a lover of music, someone that's promoted shows, anybody who has a love for music, whatever you have to do going forward, you need to do it.
Yep. No, and it's very true. My favorite quote about like that I like to say to musicians is, if you're not willing to invest in your career, why the hell should anybody else? And that's not just money, that's your time, dedication, effort, heart.
Yep.
You have to be dedicated.
Very.
And I find a lot of bands are more dedicated to their popularity contest that social media has created. Like my biggest pet peeve in
Yes.
the industry right now is Facebook likes determine how good your music is. No. You know what I mean? Like, it's not how it
Yeah, it
looks.
means nothing.
Yeah, you can pay for Facebook likes, but you can't pay for good music and talent. That's why I love the saying, you can't fuck with real talent. You know what I mean? Like, it's true. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't fuck with people who have invested 30 years of their life into crafting something that no one else can do, which is their style, you know? So it's the appreciation needs to come back, and I think it's slowly coming back. I know the underground um, scene that we have on Facebook alone with the groups that we have are absolutely incredible. Like the amount of support that people like Dan Lowy do, and a lot of other people like Jade from Support the Scene, and they put on a lot of cool events and things that can help the scene, and they do a lot of free promotion just because they know people need it and they love music. And that needs to come. I think there needs to be more people who are willing to just say fuck it and take a risk and help. And I think that's going to happen.
Right.
I think it will. I'm just waiting.
Hey Rob, when you talk about the whole Facebook and all that kind of stuff, nowadays too though there are a lot of bands that are just you know I call them internet bands because like me, Mike, and Roy, we're all from the '80s. Like we grew up from in the '80s music, and we grew up in the scene where you had to go and pass out flyers and shit. We didn't have the internet, so you had
Same
to
here.
yeah. And John, you had to go out and bust your ass, because and now people these days they don't even know about that. They don't know about the hustle of having to do that. All they do is make a post and like that's their that's my hard work for the day. They don't even know, and I think that's probably why I've grown so fast, is my hustle for the music industry, with me like acquiring like, AMG, and, now it has what, 14 bands. King Side has like 14 bands, and between all three labels, I think we're like 31 with Terror Crew, you know, that's the problem with a lot of these bands. And I even see it in some of the bands that we have, and at one point, like the roster won't be that big, because at the end of the day, it is still business, and I do pay attention to who's hustling and who's not. And, it is what it is, man. But, I just feel like a lot of these times, you just have a lot of internet people and they have to wake up and think outside the box on how you can grow your brand, because you're not just a band. You're actually if you treat yourself as a band, you won't make it, because you have to be a business at the end of the day. That's what it's about. It's about promoting your brand. I have, 4 brands, and you have to constantly promote. That's all it is marketing. So
No, and I know that like I can honestly say we're a little bit guilty of it because we're in a standstill, but at the moment I know that it is a lot of internet bands, right? Like there's not a lot of bands who have seen, I don't know, I've been doing it since I was 11. Been performing since I started actually performing at 12, picked up an instrument at 10, 11. And I used to have to do the flyers. That was my favorite part, was handing out flyers downtown, meeting new people, getting them, and then when you see their face at the show, you're like, sweet, that's a victory. Like that little victory is always going to be better than some massive thing that you succeed at, because in reality, it's the little victories that get you to your masterpiece, in my mind. So I know that a lot of bands are trying, they don't look at it as a business. And that's one thing that I think is you have to do now. You have to be a business owner. You have to look at it, who's doing their job, who's not doing their job. And that also gets hard with bands because you have that emotional attachment to each other, which really makes the business and the love aspect of a band really hard. And I think the bands that can work through that and still be able to pump out music, pump out promotion, videos, those are the ones that we'll see in big festivals and down the road. So I definitely agree with you. It's hustle. You need to hustle, and that's one things I always say. And I'm sure the boys would hate me because they'll openly admit it. Like I'm on their ass constantly. Like we need to be doing this. What can we be doing? And it's a love hate relationship, right? And I think that that's why. I mean, we've only been a band for this full lineup just about a year, and in the year we've released, it's gonna be 2 EPs, 2 music videos, if not more, and then I have some behind the scenes things that I'm not allowed to say yet, but I can say behind this scene. But no, it's definitely hustle. You need to invest into yourself, whether it's an online store or like Cynical Sons, coffee. That's so fucking smart. It's not just selling. Your albums aren't selling. You're not making money off of Spotify, and there's no touring. What are you gonna do? Like you have to do something else. And I think that building a brand behind, like your band as a brand, is the smartest thing. You make a merch line and put anything out there that you can. If it doesn't respond, don't do it. Like take it away. What does work, keep going at it. And I think that it'll really show who does it in the next 6 months to a year when everything opens up. Because a lot of bands have relied on just posts, Facebook posts, and, oh, go check out my Spotify. Yeah, but what happens when venues open up? None of those Facebook likes you earned are actually going to show up to your show. Doing just Facebook events and promoting your shows, that doesn't do shit. You physically have to go out and do flyers still, and people don't realize that. And that's one thing I still have done over my 20-year career is I still put flyers out. It's one of my favorite things. Designing the flyer, making it eye-capturing, so people are like, damn, I want to go to that. Like, that's what makes you a dedicated artist. Is the little things that you put into your craft, not just waiting for it to come. And I totally agree with you on that, 100%.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you guys would change...
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know there's a bit of a delay.
I was just going to say, yeah, and, as I told the guys, before we even actually, started getting any kind of music involved, it was like, my business plan was already, because, Ruben from Upon a Burning Body, he's done a lot of the Kingside Records videos. And like, that's like one of the first staples is that we're going to do as soon as we have like a couple of tracks, like that's going to be one thing that we're going to do is we're going to have Ruben from Upon a Burning Body do a video for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that way, we can just go ahead and start promoting when it's time,
Yeah.
It probably won't be released like immediately, but we'll have probably like, I'll probably end up paying for like 2 or 3 videos. And that way we can actually, have everything planned out, so it'll be there. So, because, Ruben's in San Antonio's and then Roy and Mike are in Dallas. So it'll be an easy travel anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just have to fly, so.
Yeah, no, I reached out to Ruben.
Yeah, I like the fact that what you said, Rob, about making stuff happen.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing is you have to. And I mean, I'm not an established, like, this is no, I'll openly admit, this is just a project that I'm investing my entire time. Like, 16 hours a day minimum because I love it and I have a passion for it. And we're starting a new series called Industry Talks, and I'm actually getting like big people in the industry, from record label executives to musicians who have spent their entire career doing it, because I want to know what they think needs to change. That's my whole thing is, well, what needs to change, where are the problems, the faults, what can we fix? And I reached out to Ruben, and I'm hoping that lines up, because I'd love to do an interview with him, because he's one of my favorite artists. Like, Upon a Burning Body is one of my favorite bands, because they are so talented and how hard they work for their scene. They may be world famous, but they still support their scene, and that is what more bands need to do. Big bands need to support their scene. When they're at home, bring in some underground artists to open up for you. Don't bring bands that you've got to charge out the ass. Like, help the scene. Or else, like, where would you be if no one helped you? So I have such a respect for Ruben and Upon a Burning Body and what they do for the Texas scene. Like, I'm really excited to have a sit down and talk with him, because he's such a good guy from everything I've heard and how much he supports. And I've also reached out to, um, I believe it's Jesse Leach, because I'd like to. He's doing an underground podcast as well, and I think it'd be cool to reach out to some other artists that are influential, because I think that they need to not necessarily give a boost, but like, like some encouragement in a time where no band knows what the hell's about to happen would be nice.
Yeah, I agree.
If there's anything in the music industry that you guys would change, and I've been waiting to ask this question to Gabe, what would it be?
Man, for me, is one. There's a couple of things that I would like. I would like to hate the fake. I'd like to have all the fucking leeches get out of the fucking music scene, like managers who totally fucking screw over bands. Record labels who are just in it for the dollar. Me and Roy talk a lot. It's like, I've wasted thousands of dollars on King Side with no returns. But at the end of the day, it's not even about the money. It's about the love for the music and love for the bands that either have approached us or that I've approached that, I would like just to help, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, yes, I would love to, of course I would love to make money at it, but it's like, I do okay in life, and, my jewelry helps fund a lot of this stuff. And so at the end of the day, if it's something that I can give back to to music, because I've been in it for so long. Roy, all these guys in this band have been in the music industry for a long ass time. Some of these guys that are part of the label, we've been in the scene longer than they've been alive. And I would just love to see fucking labels just quit being fucking money hungry, investors, and because a lot of them don't even fucking play an instrument. At the end of the day, it's just about somebody throwing in millions of dollars and trying to make, this industry. You don't even fucking make hardly any money as it is. So if that's what you're in it for, then good luck. But that's what I would like to see to change those leeches in the fucking music industry.
For sure. What about you guys?
I'd like to see rock and metal make more of a comeback and just how like right now the biggest thing around is it's either rap or that reggaeton, and it's really popular. And to me, I wish metal and rock would be back on the airwaves, back on TV, which to me the Grammys don't mean shit anymore, right? But it would be nice to be acknowledged. You know what I mean? It's non-existent right now in like just regular life. You have to. It kind of feels to me like you have to look for it. That's my thing.
Yeah, you're right, man. Like in the Grammys, the year Seven Dust was nominated, they didn't get the award, but their part of the ceremony was even before the show started, so you didn't get to see it on TV. So it's like rock these days, and I think
Yeah,
that's a turn off.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't even watch like music awards anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it seems like whenever they feature anybody from rock or metal, it's got to be with an R&B artist or a pop artist, like Metallica with Lady Gaga, and stuff like that.
Right.
I really think what I would like to see change is for the U.S. to embrace, and even Canada, which I think Canada actually does it better than the U.S. in a lot of ways, is the way that they embrace underground music and extreme music, heavier, rock and metal. I'd kind of like to see the U.S. take the same mentality as like Europe and Asia. I mean, you have these huge festivals where you've got, you've got pop artists like like 21 Pilots playing with Behemoth, and everyone's there to see all of it and enjoy it all equally. And
Mm-hmm.
you're always going to have an underground. You're always going to have like the cult following crowds. But I mean, really, I would just want like after the shit we've dealt with in 2020, I'd kind of like to see the U.S. sort of embrace more aggressive music the way that Europe and Asia has.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely, and that's one thing I agree with is the world needs to embrace metal and rock again. It's not scary. It's not some like demon, it's just music. Like it's an art. Yeah, there's people screaming or it's fast and loud, but like realistically, it's still music. Like you got to give it a chance. If I have to listen to
But
country music,
that
oh go ahead.
that's always been the story with metal, though, is
Mhm.
that they get scared by it and they don't even take the time to look at the message. That if you listen to so much metal, it's most of it's positive. A lot of it's just informative. I mean, some of it, yeah, they get off on the whole satanic thing, but that's just for show, man. It's just you really think they're going to be out there doing satanic shit? I don't think so. To me, it's like, as a kid, my mom tried to do that to me, where try to take away the music, but I don't know. I just wish people would pay more attention. Read the lyrics. Don't be scared of it. It's music. It's music like anything else. If anything, we're not telling your daughters to shake their ass. You know what I mean? Go read the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, if a horror movie like a movie like Saw or Insidious can be so huge in the mainstream and people will just flock to theaters to see it, why won't people flock to, a venue to see, a good black metal band or a good
Mm-hmm.
death metal band or a good thrash band? You know what I'm saying? Because in reality, the content is the same, but one is audio and one is visual. I've never understood that.
Yep. I think my favorite thing about metal is how it's when you look at a metal crowd, how like willing they are to just be themselves. There's no like faking who they are. And I think that's like one thing that drives me nuts about the industry now is you get country artists who are putting on a southern accent, but they're not from the south. They're from Washington, like just below where I live, and they're putting on southern accents and singing country. I always look at that like me putting on a Jamaican accent and going and playing reggae. Like I wouldn't do it because that's not true to myself. Like I'll play reggae, but I won't do it with a Jamaican accent. So I think that that's the biggest problem in music, popular music today, is they're so focused on how they look, and like that fuck you attitude of metal is what made metal. There's so many metal artists out there nowadays who are worried about how they're presenting themselves in video, if they look pretty or not. Like I don't know if you guys looked at Metallica when they were younger. They were greasy looking motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the culture has changed so much to
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Just be other than popularity contest. Like it's like who's the handsomest band out there.
Well, it's blown up so much that it's so vast though. You have so many genres now, and then you get the people that got into you actually have a lot of kids that got into music or got into metal or punk or aggressive music that went straight from listening to Kanye West and Lady Gaga, and then then all of a sudden, they're super into Lamb of God. You know what I mean? And it's that transition happens all over the place. And I think what happens too is because there's so many subgenres, you get kids that came from other more mainstream genres and they got into metal, that they'll bring those mainstream kind of attitudes and aesthetics into what's going on with metal and underground music, and it kind of blurs the lines to where, what am I looking at here? Am I looking at a glossy, glitzy version of metal, or am I looking at somebody that came from a different background that's embracing the culture? So I kind of think that whether you choose to embrace the fact that you've got new people that are just doing what they're doing, or you go, this is mine, I'm not sharing it with anybody. I think that's honestly the only thing that separates the scene, the people that want to allow everybody in, and the people that want to push people out and not let everybody in. And I kind of think that with the internet now, there really is no real underground, because you can get a huge artist can have the same resources with Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and stuff as as anybody else, and just weeding out who is an online Facebook band and who is a real band that's actually out there playing. I really think that's where people are going to find the difference between the two. Who can do it live and who just does it on recording. And what's really weird is some people will actually like the people, just like you said, like the country artist that's actually from from a northern state or from a northern place, trying to sound like he's from Alabama. And it's infuriating when people don't care about that. And I think that sometimes you find that in metal, and you find that in hardcore and other genres, and you see who lasts. And I mean, it's hard telling. And like with what Gabe's doing with with Kingside and all of his other things, like I said before, creating a new underground where it's just like, okay, well, let's see who understands what this is about. And you're gonna find out, sooner or later, who sticks with it and who doesn't, and who goes on to the next trend. So I mean, it's really crazy, because you have to ask yourself, how important is it that it's 100% true, like the DNA is metal, or who's putting on just an image, and really, I think that's only the main difference. Because I talk to people all the time, they're like, I don't understand why you don't like such and such band or whatever. I'm like, well, because I can tell that they're faking it. I can tell that they're doing a formula. And then you say, well, this band sounds just like that, why do you like them better? Well, because I can tell that they're not faking it, or I know their background, I know where they came from, I know what scene they came up in, I know why they're playing the kind of stuff that they're doing, and I respect that more, because sometimes that's the only difference between two bands that sound exactly the same, but you know what, I like this one because I like they're doing it with heart. This band's doing it, with a financial agenda. But that's not to say that the band doing it with heart doesn't deserve to make a living off of what they're doing. So it's kind of a mess when it really comes down to it. And so you just kind of have to follow your heart and support those who you really think are true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely it's. I find the further you get as an artist into the industry, the more, like, if you're a major artist at least. Prime example is Architects, one of my favorite bands. Their last album was so
Mm,
good, and the one they just released is so different, and it's so poppy, and it's so perfect. There's no fucking up, they don't fall off the tempo. It just sounds too pristine, it doesn't have that energy that they used to have, or that skill level. And it I don't know, it's sad to see when bands kind of get told what to do. And that's what I love about underground music. I would never sign a 360 deal. I was this close to doing it before when I was in hip hop, and I would never do it again, because reading that contract scared the hell out of me. Losing all creative rights, that scares me, because if I don't have my art, then I don't really have my voice, because that's how I speak, is in my lyrics. So I think it's almost stifling artists, major labels. They cut them down slowly to the point where they have this moldable jelly, and then they put it out. And I think that's why I love the underground and what Gabe's doing, because it, like I always say, it's the future. It's how it should be done. And I mean, I'm a big person on projection into the universe. And if you really want something, you're gonna get it. And I think that that's
yep.
that's what's gonna happen.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be the future, and I'm excited for it, because it's exactly what we need as for artists. So I'm really excited for
Yes.
the future for everyone on the label, everyone in the industry, because It's our time to shine. That's how that's what it is. COVID gave us our opportunity to be heard and seen, and now that people got a taste of real music and what's hidden underneath the veil of what you're fed. Like I always like to say pop music is the McDonald's of music, you know? Like it has no sustenance, no vitamins, no nothing. It's just you eat it and it's done. This is the
Mm-hmm.
steak and potatoes. You know what I mean? Like the underground, this is the good. And I'm excited to see the world finally see it and be like, damn, what have we been missing out on? Because, like, we've been going hard since the day metal became a thing, you know what I mean? And it's never died. It's just been passed, the torch has been passed down. And I'm excited to see it finally be like a bonfire or a wildfire instead of just this torch that people are passing down. So I'm really excited for the future. Is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up? I know it's getting a little bit late over there for you guys because you're 3 hours ahead of me.
I just want to thank you for having us on.
Thank you for everything you do, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your time, man. We appreciate the.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, man. It it was kind of weird for me because like everybody on my screen is frozen the whole time.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I didn't see anybody move. Yeah. I don't know if it's just my phone, but like when somebody would talk, I would just look at their picture.
That's
It was
funny.
weird, but it was cool.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, and when you do get ready to release your music, let's have you back on so that we can do another interview.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Awesome. You guys,
Appreciate it.
Sounds good, man.
awesome. Thank you again, and you guys stay safe, and we'll be in contact for
Talk to
sure.
y'all soon.
Bye, guys.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys.